Scientific Consortium for International Sustainability, ICOSDGS, Sustainable Development Goals SDGs Conference in Bandar Lampung, Indonesia. I'm Gabriel as the Master of Ceremony as well as the moderator for this conference. When we talk about research, it cannot be seen from one field of science. Therefore, a scientific collaboration forum is needed. Based on these thoughts, the International Science Consortium for Indonesian Sustainability, ICOSDGS, is present outside the government to answer the existing scientific debate through the role of interdisciplinary scientists to improve the quality of research in Indonesia by uniting researchers from universities, civil society activists, researchers, and students at home. Inauguration, ICOSDGS strives to extend researchers' knowledge and understanding of the real world from interdisciplinary perspectives. ICOSDGS promotes and facilitates interdisciplinary research by providing an international avenue where researchers from all disciplines can share and discuss about their research. Thanks to the support from researchers, members, and collaborating universities, NGOs, scientific consortium, and individual researchers, ICOSDGS can successfully establish itself a center of excellence for interdisciplinary research. The Society wishes to organize regular workshops, seminars, and international conferences that bring together researchers from all disciplines to meet and interact.
Honorable Head of the Consortium's organizations, dear keynote speakers, paper presenter, and participants of the Sustainable Development Goals Conference. Hopefully, we're always in good state. In the midst of the COVID pandemic disaster that is hitting our world right now, we hope and pray that this pandemic will end soon so we can return to our normal routine. Distinguished guests, this international conference is organized by ICOSDGS, International Scientific Consortiums for Indonesian Sustainability. Thanks to the visions and missions of various organizations or institutions in the form of consortiums that focus on a field of study and research across discipline, with the aspirations of the formations of an order for the progress of nation's life through research activities across scientific disciplines, from universities, NGOs, and individual research. Therefore, this year, with a very warm conversations full of enthusiasm, the people who are members of ICOSDGS held an international conference with the theme Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and high respect for resource persons, committee colleagues who work behind the scenes so that this international conference can run well. As the chairman of the committee, welcome and thank you. Happy discussions. God bless.
The first one, Riza Muhida, PhD, the head of Center of Mechatronics and Automation Studies, Universitas Bandar Lampung, Lampung, Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for chairman of this conference. Today, I want to present about the future of transportation, use drone as a part of the sustained development program. Okay, I can share my presentation. Yeah. Okay, this presentation about development of drone to support smart cities. Yeah, as we know, smart cities is one of the program in the future development of sustainability, and this is the one of the vision of each city to develop their city to be smart. And this is my content of presentation. One, we discuss about the concept of smart city, and we also discuss about the aerial transportation in the future. And another is challenge using drone as aerial transportation, and another research drones, yeah, in Indonesia. Okay, first we discuss about the concept of a smart city. as we know, smart city is a city that can manage its resource effectively and efficiently to solve city challenge using innovative, integrated, and sustainability solution. To provide infrastructure and provide city service that can improve the quality of life of its citizens. This definition is in the one line with the goal of the sustainability development. We can look in this picture one of the concept smart city initiated by the Indonesia. Yeah, we call this Garuda Smart City model, where inside the smart city must have the smart economy, smart environment, smart society. In the smart economy, we must make the economy must be efficient, industry and resource must be balanced with the environmental situation. Another, in the smart society, we must have the society that be health, yeah, and score, and also the every people, yeah, who stay in the city feel harmonic between one another, and also to regulate, yeah, to make regulation of this smart economy and smart society, we must have the governance. Yeah. The governance must make the rule, yeah, how to manage this smart city to be smooth. And as a background of this presentation, we can look the planet of cities. Yeah, we know the majority, yeah, of the world's population now is more than 3.3 billion, yeah, live in cities. And in the 2030, yeah, 60% of world population will live in city. And because of this, we must consider, yeah, to think how to make the city better, yeah, must be better in the future for the each people. And why we must think about the smart city. And if we look in the mega city, yeah, situation, like the big city in the US, in UK, Europe, and also in Asia, yeah, where population of the people is increase, and this increasing the population need the more resource, yeah, like energy, food, yeah, and also need the better transportation. Yeah, to overcome this problem, we must have solution about the future of the transportation. And in the consideration for the economic cost of transportation, we must consider about the cost of moving, yeah, from information, yeah, how to make the people can manage to get the information with the low cost. Yeah, example, now we use the information technology. And another, the cost of moving the people, how the people can move with one another with the low cost price of fuel, yeah, it's like example. And also cost moving goods, yeah, how when we send the goods from one point and another point, this will be cheaper, yeah. And what is the relation, yeah, between aerial transportation and development of a smart city? Yeah, we can look this in this picture. Yeah, if we use the drone, this can reduce the cost per mile. Yeah, in the in the delivery, if you use delivery drone, yeah, we can use this can be low cost. Yeah, this example, if we use the drone, yeah, if we compare with the transportation, with the conventional, yeah, transportation for the price for the 1 hour human delivery in the 2015, this per person, yeah, for 1 hour transportation need each US dollar. But if we can develop the using the drone, yeah, this can be only $2, yeah, per person. Yeah, this can decrease 4 until 5 times. And in the future, yeah, if we in the future, if we can use drone, this will have the cost is maybe only $1. Yeah, but now the result of the use a drone for transportation in the still on the development. Yeah, not yet finished. And this is the development of the smart city. Yeah, if we use the drone can send the people and the goods, yeah, the good from the 1 point and the 2 point. Yeah, and in the future of the city is like in this picture. Yeah, where the people stay in the high building. Yeah, and they can use a drone to send the good, and also they can use drone for traveling. Okay, this one of example use the smart city from the smart grid. Yeah, use the energy. Another the smart using the IoT, yeah, Internet of Things, where we can monitor and control a device around us using the internet or using our handphone. Yeah. Okay, if we use the drone in the future, we can look. Many of drone will fly, yeah, around us. Yeah, and yeah, to provide the energy for drone, we must provide, like example, the solar energy where the drone can charging, yeah, automatically. And also to deliver of the drone, we must provide the example basket, yeah, where the drone can drop the goods, yeah, in the to our place easy, yeah. And the challenge, yeah, of the drone as the aerial transportation now is in the still research, yeah, not yet finished. Yeah, you can see many company already developed of the drone. Yeah, and then this research is they have the good progress where the some of company try to sell their drone as a taxi. Yeah, this is the good progress. Yeah, like example for the Ehang. Yeah, already developed the taxi drone. Yeah, yeah, like this. Yeah, you can see in the YouTube there are many information about the use of taxi as use drone as taxi. Yeah, and the problem if we want use the drone as taxi in Indonesia, yeah, especially we have some of the limitation because of the currently rule for the drone still on the implemented, yeah, in the limitation the allowance, yeah, to use the drone. Yeah, example, the drone cannot fly, yeah, more than height of 150 meter. Yeah, and also drone cannot operate in the public area. and also cannot operate in the airport, close to the airport area. And drone must be controlled by the person directly. That is the sum of the rule in Indonesia, where we must make a research to make a drone is possible with the high safety. And this is one of the result from our lab to how to develop a drone the smart city. We have the some of the experiment how to develop the drone for the transportation. Example, we develop this drone can carry of the heavy like the equipment of goods. Now we already developed the drone can carry payload until 10 kilogram, but we will develop the drone can carry more than 50 kilogram. And also we try to develop the safety of the drone if we put the drone with the parachute system, where the drone can fly, and if there's something happen in the drone, like accident, the drone can release their parachute and make the condition of the drone in the safety condition. Also, we developed the drone for agriculture, to spray the fertilizer and also spray of pesticide. This good for the agriculture, for the sustainability development. And also for the mapping, I think this already developed, for the mapping. This is the sum of the controller of the drone. We can control using the waypoint. This is easy to get a map. This is method when drone go to the line in the waypoint, they can take picture, and using the software we can make a connection of the image to be one of the map. And the map is very clear and detailed. This one of the advantage using drone to make map and image, compare with the satellite. Also, we developed the solar powered drone. This to use the solar energy. In the picture, and also we try to develop the drone. How to control drone and monitor the drone using our handphone application, and this can connect to the nano satellite. And this is progress of our nano satellite. We hope we can launch soon our nano satellite. And in this future of the transportation, for the transportation in the long distance, we can use the current aircraft, but for the middle distance, we can use drone. And also for the close distance, for example, to send the goods, we can use a drone with the small size. Okay, for conclusion of this my presentation, we can use unmanned drone, to solve the density problem in the city. And the air transportation by drone will change the concept of planning and design, and of the spatial and regional development of spatial. And this drone can support for developing of the sustainability in the future. Okay, I think this is my presentation. I hope you can read, and if you can give also question. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Stanislav Vladimirov Mladenov from Kazan Federal University.
Hello, dear participants. Hello, dear organizers. My name is Stanislav Mladenov, and I'm from Bulgaria, but study in Russia in Kazan Federal University. I'm second year of Masters in International Relations. I also graduated in Political Science with my bachelor degree. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here and to speak about the challenges of the Republic of Bulgaria in the UN Sustainable Development Goals strategy. I would like to start with information about Bulgaria, that this is a country located on the Balkan Peninsula in Eastern Europe. The population of the country is less than 7 million people. According to historians, the origin of the country dates back to the 7th century. During the Middle Ages, Bulgaria was one of the leading Eastern European countries in geopolitical terms until the conquest, and finally the conquest by the Ottoman Empire in 14th century. The Bulgarian kingdom was restored in 1878 after the end of Russia-Turkish War. After the end of the Second World War, through a referendum, Bulgaria from kingdom was renamed to People's Republic under socialist rule and led by the Bulgarian Communist Party. The country changed its political system in 1991, as most of the European countries which were in the third wave. If you remember the book Third Wave of Samuel Huntington. Bulgaria became also member of the European Union in 2007. So let's go back to the main topic about the challenges in the UN Sustainable Development Goals strategy. And I would like to introduce you the document, the National Development Program, Bulgaria 2030. This long-term programming document that defines the visit objectives, priorities, and the respective financial framework of the country's economic and social development policies, as well as monitoring mechanisms and control over their implementation. Nowadays, the country is experiencing difficulties, but also stability in some areas, like the flow of foreign direct investments in Bulgaria is very positive with every year, and positive also in May. According to the data, at least 92.1 million euros entered the country, mainly under the format of reinvested earnings. So, although, despite this, Bulgaria also faced major problems. From 1997 till the previous year, Bulgaria was maybe one of the most politically stable countries. And when in the summer of 2020, when was the beginning of the political crisis, the conflict between the institutions of the president and the Council of Ministers, which was under the influence of former long-time Prime Minister Boyko Borisov. I'll also talk about the three main problems in Bulgaria about the Sustainable Development Goal strategy. It's the corruption, it's the poverty rate, and the demographic crisis. Bulgaria hasn't dealt with the corruption problems, unfortunately. The score is, which is given by Freedom House, is 3.75 from 7. And only in 2021, politicians and other influential people in countries' political and economic spheres had been suspected of illegal actions. Nowadays, top-level public officials were implicated in a number of corruption scandals. They included the ex-Prime Minister Boyko Borisov, that both Barcelona's police and anti-corruption prosecution were investigating his links to an international money laundering scheme. Claims by businessman Vasil Boshkov also promoted scrutiny of senior officials. Months after his indictment over the non-payment of fees, Boshkov claimed that he had paid a sum worth roughly about 30 million euros to Borisov and former finance minister Vladislav Goranov to secure political support for his business and their behest. In April the same year, 2020, former singer Liana and her brother were arrested over a probe into EU funds abuses, in which Boshkov was also implicated. Also at that time, ex-Prime Minister Borisov, dismissed that the heads of the state-owned Bulgarian development bank, Stoyan Mavrodiev, and bank's entire board, after it emerged the institution had granted about 38.5 million euro loan to a debt collection firm with 1,000 euro in revenue during the coronavirus pandemic. The move followed similar scandals in the past that had involved Mavrodiev, but in which no charges or other consequences emerged. However, anti-government and anti-corruption protests held in the summer directed the attention of the European Parliament of the situation in the country, amid discussions on an EU mechanism linking EU funds to the rule of law. The inability of the Bulgarian state to fully fight corruption for more than 30 years shows that the consolidation of the democratic regime is not yet complete, and questions also arise as to whether the political transition is still in its development phase, and even in a state of complete absence of development of these solutions of the problem. Also, one more thing for the corruption in Bulgaria is Washington's sanctions based on Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act against the involvement of some Bulgarian entrepreneurs. Another major problem and challenge for the country is the fight against poverty. Bulgaria, unfortunately, is one of the poorest countries in the European Union for all the years of its membership, alongside with Romania and the Baltic states. The average income from employment of the working age population in the bloc fell by 70% in the previous year, according to Eurostat data. The risk of poverty among the working age population increased significantly in the same year. Of course, we can say this is because of the economic difficulties caused by the pandemic of COVID-19. Over 1.6 million Bulgarians, or 23.8% of the country's population, were below the poverty line. This is shown by the data of the National Statistical Institute in the survey of poverty and social inclusion indicators for the last year. Compared to the previous year, the poverty line increased by 9.2%, and the relative share of the poor increased by 1.2 percentage points. Data for 2020 shows that if household income includes pension income but excludes other social transfers, benefits, social and family benefits and allowances, the poverty rate increases from 23.8 to 29.9%, or by 6.1 percentage points. Accordingly, excluding pensions and other social transfers, the poverty rate increased to 41.7%, or 17.9 percentage points. The tendency in the reproduction of the able-bodied population is alarming. The ratio between the number of those entering working age from 15 to 19 years old and the number of those leaving working age from 60 to 64 years old shows that in 2014, every 100 people leaving working age were replaced by 62 people entering working age. By comparison, in 2001, every 100 people of working age were replaced by 124 young people. So, the Bulgarian government is trying to solve the problem, and the priority directions and tasks in the field of demographic policy are formulated in the updated national strategy for demographic development of the population in the Republic of Bulgaria to 2012-2030, and are aimed at achieving the following strategic goal: slowing down the population with a tendency to stabilize its long-term and ensuring high-quality human capital, including people with their health, education, qualifications, ability, and skills. Integrated approach is applied to maximize the coverage of demographic problems. Also, this strategy can help about solving the problem with the poverty rate. The main goal of the work in the field of demographic policy is to limit the negative impacts of demographic imbalances on public finances and social systems. About the corruption, nowadays before 2 years was formed new party of Bulgarian showman Stanislav Trifonov, and this party, There Is Such a Nation, won the election, but unfortunately they couldn't form new government. But every new party which was part of the last, which was part of the parliament of the Republic of Bulgaria, had the ideas to deal with the problems of corruption. because they think that the problems are because of the non-professional. Actually, these their words, the non-professional rule of Gerb and the ex-Prime Minister Boyko Borisov. And their thing is that actually for more than 30 years, the state couldn't solve this corruption problem. So I would say that the state is trying to do something, and if the new parties, the new political parties, will do what they say about corruption, and and they follow they follow the task, the priority directions, the strategy to fight the poverty rates and demographic crisis. Maybe Bulgaria has the chance to have a success in the UN Sustainable Development Goal strategy. But for now, we see that the results, that the problems that has Bulgaria, these three main problems, there are more of course, but these three main problems are the challenges that they put the state in a risk that this strategy will not be fulfilled until 2030. And also, the other problem is the COVID pandemic, which we see that until now this pandemic is affecting the economy of the country, and not only the country, not only Bulgaria, but all the world. So for now, let's say, if you want my opinion is that Bulgaria first should deal with the political crisis and try to form government which will try to solve these three main problems to fulfill the strategy for sustainable development goals. So I want to thank you one more time to the organizers and for the participants. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm ready to answer for all of your questions and to tell you more if you want, or to give you some sources. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good day, and I hope we'll see you one more time. Thank you.
Ruslan Shakirov from Deputy Region of Chelyabinsk, Russia.
Всем здравствуйте, меня зовут Шакиров Руслан Рамилевич, я являюсь магистром политологии, и мой доклад посвящен проблеме реализации государственной национальной политики в регионах Российской Федерации. Актуальность выбранной темы заключается в том, что Российская Федерация – это многонациональное государство. По данным переписи, произведенным в 2010 году, на территории нашей страны проживают 193 этнические группы, каждая из которых имеет свои характерные особенности – языковые, религиозные, культурно-бытовые и другие. И разработка нормативно-правовых актов в сфере реализации национальной политики и ее практическая реализация невозможна без учета этих факторов. Поэтому проведение разумной национальной политики, отражающей все многообразие интересов этнических групп, является фундаментальной основой сохранения суверенитета российской государственности. Российская Федерация – это сложносоставное государство, включающее в себя 85 асимметричных субъектов, Согласно Конституции, административно-территориальное деление включает в себя 22 республики, 9 краев, 46 областей, 3 города федерального значения, 1 автономную область и 4 автономных округа. Тем не менее, Федеральная Конституция гарантирует, что все субъекты Российской Федерации, независимо от их государственно-правовой формы, территории, численности населения и социально-экономического развития, имеют равные права. В то же время стоит сказать, что конституционно-правовое положение республик значительно выше остальных субъектов Федерации. Все республики имеют свои собственные конституции, государственный язык, и также официально закрепленное понятие «титульный этнос». В отечественном научном дискурсе не сложилось единого определения деятельности государства в сфере регулирования межэтнических отношений. Учеными предлагаются различные термины и определения, которые бы объясняли деятельность государства. И в качестве компромиссного варианта нами предлагается термин «этнонациональная политика». Такой выбор обусловлен тем, что необходимо разграничить понятие политика в отношении этносов и иные явления, определяющиеся категориями национальный, национальное, национальное. Так как слово «национальное» в России может использоваться в двух значениях как минимум. То есть национальный как этнический и национальный как общегосударственный. Так, например, президента страны у нас можно обозначить как национальный лидер в общегосударственном масштабе. В тот же момент президента, главу субъекта какой-то национальной республики также можно назвать национальным лидером, только на уровне региона. И тут может возникать определенная двойственность. Вторым доводом является то, что если в западной терминологии категория, обозначающая существование отличительных идентичностей, называется этнос, то в российском дискурсе для обозначения этнических групп принято использовать слово «нация» или «этнонация». И государство, как гарант сохранения и укрепления суверенитета, является главным институтом по регулированию отношений между всеми этническими группами. Данная деятельность осуществляется путем принятия соответствующих законодательных актов, и их целью является создание условий для сохранения и развития этнокультурных особенностей народов, этнонаций. Второе. Создание условий для укрепления единства граждан, проживающих на территориальных границах страны. Третье. Недопущение различных дискриминационных форм по отношению к тем или иным этническим группам. И четвертое. Укрепление государственного суверенитета. Нами было дано собственное определение этой национальной политики, и звучит она следующим образом. Этнонациональная политика – это государственная политика, направленная на регулирование межэтнических отношений путем создания условий для их гармоничного развития. При этом государственное регулирование заключается в совершенствовании нормативно-правовой базы и в повышении эффективности органов государственной власти, ответственных за реализацию данной сферы. В 2012 году в России была принята стратегия государственной национальной политики Российской Федерации на период до 2025 года. В документе определены приоритеты, цели, задачи, принципы, основные направления, а также инструменты и механизмы реализации этой национальной политики. Впервые закрепляется понятие «российская нация», понимаемое как единство многонационального народа Российской Федерации. Практическая реализация этой национальной политики в субъектах Российской Федерации осуществляется в соответствии с Федеральной Конституцией Российской Федерации, которая выделяет исключительные предметы ведения и полномочия Федерального центра, совместные предметы ведения и полномочия Федерального центра и субъектов Федерации, а также предметы ведения и полномочия, собственно, субъектов Федерации, которые образуются по остаточному принципу, а к ним относятся те вопросы, которые находятся вне предела ведения Российской Федерации и совместного ведения Федерального центра и регионов. Органы государственной власти субъектов Российской Федерации самостоятельно в вопросах определения расходов бюджета и самостоятельно формируют органы исполнительной власти, которые осуществляют политику, направленную на гармонизацию межэтнических отношений. Но в силу того, что многие формулировки при определении компетенции не носят четкого характера, регионы по-разному определяют объем сфер, объем задач и функций органов власти, ответственных за реализацию национальной политики. Так, если в одних регионах разрабатываются региональные стратегии, а другие регионы принимают комплексные документы, охватывающие все сферы национальной политики, особенно трепетно относятся к реализации и к разработке нормативно-правовых актов в данной сфере национальные республики и автономные округа, где проживают этнические общности малые, допустим. Они разрабатывают дополнительно какие-то способы защиты этнических меньшинств, а также возможность развития и популяризации своей собственной этнической группы. Существенную проблему создает отсутствие единого подхода к определению уполномоченного органа государственной власти в сфере реализации национальной политики в регионах. Из всех национальных республик только в 3 образованы отдельные структуры в органах власти. Что касается других субъектов федерации, то там практически не встречаются обособленные структуры, которые были бы ответственны за реализацию стратегии государственной национальной политики. Например, в Челябинской области ответственным за данную сферу деятельности является правительство, а отдельные направления регулируются, разделены между 4 министерствами региона. Если говорить о необходимости создания профильных ведомств, занимающихся вопросами политики в области межэтнических отношений во всех регионах страны, то здесь положение также двойственно. С одной стороны, субъекты Российской Федерации различаются по территориальным, экономическим и этническим характеристикам. Если в одних регионах проблемы межэтнического характера являются важными для поддержания баланса внутри общества, и что собой обуславливает необходимость создания специальных органов власти, ответственных за реализацию этой национальной политики. С другой стороны, субъекты Российской Федерации по этой национальной политике различия по различным характеристикам может приводить к тому, что в одних регионах нет необходимости создавать, и нету каких-то определенных разногласий между проживающими там этническими группами, и, соответственно, нет какой-то определенной необходимости для создания отдельных структур власти. С другой стороны, полномочия субъектов Российской Федерации по реализации этой национальной политики достаточно обширны. В этом контексте целесообразно было бы образование отдельных органов власти, осуществляющих полномочия по гармонизации межэтнических отношений во всех субъектах Российской Федерации. Субъекты Российской Федерации наделены полномочиями в разработке нормативно-правовых актов в сфере межэтнических отношений, но практика осуществления такой возможности ограничена экономическими возможностями регионов. Как отмечают эксперты, степень соответствия региональных программ и целям и задачам федеральной программы, то есть стратегии государственной национальной политики, не охватывает и половину направлений из того перечня, что указано в документе. В большинстве случаев региональные государственные программы сведены к решению задач по этнокультурному развитию. Гораздо реже в регионах осуществляются действия, направленные на совершенствование государственного управления в сфере национальной политики, обеспечение социально-экономических условий для более успешной ее реализации, учета национального фактора в сфере образования, воспитания и языка. Также регионы слабо ориентированы на установление и развитие международных связей и почти не встречаются мероприятия в области защиты прав граждан. Что касается перехода к следующей проблеме, то стоит сказать, что одним из важных факторов сохранения и развития этнических групп является использование и регулирование языкового статуса народов России. Регулирование языков этнических групп осуществляется в соответствии с федеральными законами. В Федеральной Конституции указано, что Российская Федерация гарантирует создание условий для изучения и сохранения родного языка. И стоит согласиться с тем, что русский язык как официальный язык государства должен быть обязательным для всех в образовательном процессе, но также языки этнических групп должны иметь равный статус с русским языком для его носителей. Это определено российским законодательством и, соответственно, должно гарантироваться право получения образования на родном языке. На практике же дела обстоят иначе. Полное среднее образование можно получить лишь на 4 языках. Это на русском, башкирском, татарском и якутском. Высшее образование доступно лишь на русском языке. Тенденция последних лет говорит о том, что происходит снижение изучения родных языков в образовательных учреждениях. Например, после рекомендации Федерального министерства образования о том, что государственные языки республик могут преподаваться не более 2 часов в неделю, а также критики президента страны Владимира Путина о недопустимости принудительного изучения национальных языков в школах, власти республик отменили обязательное изучение родного языка. Руководители национальных республик пытались отстоять право регионов на самостоятельное регулирование образовательной и культурной деятельности. Так, например, в 2017 году президент Республики Татарстан Рустам Минниханов предложил изучать татарский язык как второй государственный по 2 часа в неделю. Однако в 2018 году, через год, на федеральном уровне были приняты поправки к закону об образовании, в соответствии с которыми изучение государственных и родных языков в республиках страны может вестись только факультативно, по желанию родителей и не в ущерб изучения русского и иностранного языков. Российские республики отреагировали достаточно остро на данную инициативу. Так, Союз журналистов Республики Дагестан заявил, что инициаторы проекта замахнулись на самое ценное и святое для нашей многонациональной семьи народов России на родной язык. Участие во власти – один из самых значимых индикаторов равенства и неравенства этнических групп, как в реальной жизни, так и в представлениях людей. В демократическом обществе политическое участие этнических меньшинств в процессе принятия политических решений приобретает особое значение. Политическое представительство национальных меньшинств дает возможность институционально отстаивать права и интересы этнических групп на государственном уровне. Обязанность государства обеспечивать условия для политического представительства этнических меньшинств закреплена в международных документах. Во многих зарубежных странах, как на официальном уровне, так и без институционального закрепления, распределяется доступ к политической власти с учетом пола, этничности или того и другого. Такое положение, например, существует в Конституции Бельгии, и наиболее доступным способом политического представительства является возможность избрания в парламент этнических меньшинств. Однако стоит учитывать, будет ли пребывание в парламенте действительно представительством этнических меньшинств, а не формальным. Здесь принципиальным является то, какую роль имеет парламент в государственном устройстве страны. В отличие от опыта зарубежных государств, в Российской Федерации практически не используются специальные меры по обеспечению этнических меньшинств в политическом процессе. Национальное законодательство запрещает создание политических партий по национальной и региональной принадлежности. Нет механизмов, которые могли бы блокировать на федеральном и региональном уровнях принятие решений, идущих вразрез с интересами этнических меньшинств. Таким образом, в рамках данного исследования рассмотрена проблема реализации этнонациональной политики в регионах России. В результате проведенной исследовательской работы
Mr. Mustafa Helfasiglu from Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University, Turkey.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear distinguished participants of the International Conference on Sustainable Development Goals. Hello, I'm greeting you from Konya. This is the hosting city of the great scholar Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi. I'm from Turkey. My name is Mustafa Helvacıoğlu. I'm a civil engineer with a master's degree on transport and sustainable development. And currently I am a PhD student on Islamic economics and finance program at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. Also, I am a professional working as the general manager in a real estate investment company. Let me share my screen for the presentation. I hope you can see it clearly. Before I start, I'm sending my special thanks to Professor Mehmet Bulut and Assistant Professor Mohammed Sharif Al-Amri and Associate Professor Mustafa Omar Mohammed, my teachers, for their sincere encouragement and guidance and contribution in this paper. Today, I will present you a critical analysis of the economic dimension of SDGs based on the Islamic economics perspective. This is the outline of my presentation. I will pass this quickly. Before we take any steps on SDGs, we have to take one step back to understand sustainable development concept. We know that sometimes same type of outcomes can be derived from different thought paths or different reasons. We know that the Western world took interest in reinventing sustainable development at the end of 20th century. On the other hand, sustainable development is not a new concept to Islam. It has been practiced based on its main sources for ages. The Muslim world stopped their original perspective and implementations related to sustainable development issues and adopted the Western concept of sustainable development. Why? Because the reason was the institutional change. By the ending of the Ottoman Empire, succeeding states changed their institutions. They relegated sustainable development in Islam from institutional level to individual level, and they filled the gaps in the institutions by relying only on the Western ideas and innovations, and they transformed their institutions accordingly. So in this last 10 years, we believe Islamic economics can be the key for the opportunity to reevaluate and promote sustainable development and SDGs from Islamic perspective, which covers both human-human social relationships and human-nature environmental relationships. So we need to state the problem correctly in order to create a beneficial result. We must be aware that today's concept of sustainable development is discovered through trial and errors emanating from Western practices and failures. Single perspective of sustainable development cannot lead success of sustainable development goals. If people look at the concept of sustainable development only from the Western thinkers' perspective, SDGs cannot be achieved. Moreover, SDGs from the Western perspective often focus on material achievements, neglecting the ethical progress. If we deal with the economic dimension of SDGs by developing a new inclusive model based on Islamic economics, we can examine the extent of the ills in the practices of conventional economics and finance on SDGs, and thus offer genuine economic and financial solutions based on Islamic economics, which in practice is human-centric and has a clear ethical frame for all humans. Our objective is to examine Islamic economics and its financial solutions in the context of SDGs, which are accepted as the measures to address the common problems of our world and seek common solutions of humanity to those problems. We are aiming to attract attentions of Islamic state governments, Muslim communities, and Muslim business world, and in particular the Islamic financial sector, harness their potential to contribute to the achievement of SDGs. For helping institutions and researchers, we are redefining sustainable development and recategorizing SDGs based on Islamic economics perspective. And we are aiming to show the way to assess SDGs in relation to Islamic economics. Our literature review mainly focuses on three groups. The first group is concept of about the concept of sustainable development, and the second group is mostly about the sustainable development goals. Most of them are written by the Western writers, and some include some NGO reports and analysis. And the third group is research on the Islam and sustainable development together, and most of the writers are Muslim writers. But when we check all this literature, there is a gap, and we can say that there are few works that discuss Islam and sustainable development, especially around SDGs. And usually these works are general and theoretical and descriptive. And there is hardly any work that has discussed SDGs, particularly the economic dimension from Islamic economics perspective. In this paper, we aim to fill this gap. Such a study is important to analyze the extent of similarities and differences between SDGs and Islamic economics perspective of sustainable development. I want to pass the methodology. We mostly made a qualitative research, and we followed the critical analysis of the issues to formulate the recommendations. As a key finding, I want to say that when I was learning sustainable development as a master's student in the UK in 2005, I was sure this idea and its related activities would offer amazing solutions to the problems of the world. However, after 15 years, I discovered there are gaps in this concept, especially when it comes to the methodology of achieving its goals. This gap comes from its Western origins. We all know that SD is introduced by the Westerns, but indeed it was not an innovation, but a cause and effect process. Therefore, in order to make any constructive critical analysis on this concept, we need to first clearly understand its origins. Here I present you shortly the trend of sustainable development. In late 19th century, as a result of new imperialism and industrialization, those industrialized Western nations penetrated in Asian and African continents and exploited the natural resources with a colonial context. In early 20th century, following the social, economic, and environmental destructions of First World War and Second World War, the rise in the need of fossil fuels made Western economies develop policies in securing energy flow for their continuous heavy industries. Therefore, a consensus emerged in the Western world on the urgent need for the efforts to aid the development of less advanced countries. So they started to help less advanced countries for their own benefits in energy flow. This aid increased material well-being and also institutional intervention of Western countries in those less developed countries. The flow of goods and services were promoted and improved in the mid-20th century, and that's what they called economic growth. It became a major goal for the West, and it is introduced not as an economic growth, but as an economic development to the other nations. When we arrived in 1960s, international trade became the key implementation of economic development, and Western countries started to providing large-scale legal, technical, and financial assistance to those less advanced countries. But unfortunately, that was the time when economic well-being was exactly traded off with the environmental and social well-being. As a result of this, many environmental and social protests and movements rise all around the world. The United Nations couldn't close their eyes on these movements, and for the first time in history, a global summit that considers human impacts on environment is organized in 1972. And after 10 years, World Commission on Environment is founded, and a new era of economic growth that shall ensure social and environmental sustainability at the same time is announced. This famous Brundtland report was published also in 1982. The journey of sustainable development passed from theory to practice after the Earth Summit in Rio in 1992, which was bringing Agenda 21 on table as a practice plan of sustainable development principles. And a Commission on Sustainable Development was established under United Nations for providing guidance and tracking the progress of implementations of sustainable development. On the other hand, again, unfortunately, inside box economic and financial reforms created modern Great Depressions with severe and continuous economic and financial crisis, and all around the world in the beginning of the first new millennia. And the 8 Millennium Development Goals to be achieved globally by 2015 were not sound and effective because of those crises. And that's why the United Nations expanded and named 17 new goals, and the United Nations World Summit, it's announced in the World Summit in 2012 without waiting for 2015. When we seek for the commons, after understanding the sustainable development and sustainable development goals, how it comes from Western origins, for the common objectives of Islamic economics and sustainable development, we have to understand also their objectives. We all know that the 17 SDGs are the key objectives of sustainable development. What are the key objectives of Islamic economic systems? The first one is equitable distribution of wealth and income. The second one is responsible and efficient production and consumption of wealth and income. But these are the common objectives also of the other economic systems as well. But the unique objective presented by Islamic economics is establishing economic justice and being respectful to human dignity. So Islamic economic systems have the objective of these three at the same time. So around these objectives, we can now assess sustainable development goals from Islamic economics perspective under three concepts. This is the first one is the concept of needs. Sustainable development introduces the concept of need as the essentials of the people living in poverty, and those essentials must be supplied as a priority. Very similarly, in Islamic economics, the necessities we call daruriyat, mentioned in the first level of human benefit, are the point of origin to every economic behavior, activity, and transaction of human beings. So Islamic law addresses these basic needs as a must to be supplied for all human beings. And the second concept for assessment is the concept of limitations. Sustainable development introduces the idea of limitations as the environment capacity of supplying essentials of today and tomorrow. Islamic economic obliges human beings to seek the pleasure of Allah in every economic behavior, activity, and transaction through serving for the pleasure of other human beings and creatures. Islamic law limits economy and finance with realism, human-centric, humanistic ethics, and developmental vision. Lastly, the concept of objectives. Sustainable development, as we all know, operationalizes its objectives by sustainable development goals, which serve as a global compass that guides economy, finance, and business towards achieving economic, social, and environmental sustainability. Islamic economics also aims to keep human economic activities within an ethical frame that ensures the rights of people and all other living creatures without compromising the essentials of social, economic, and natural systems. Therefore, we can create a new definition for sustainable development from the Islamic economics perspective. We can say it is the development that sustains the necessities of the present and the future by seeking and conducting the activities permissible by Islamic law. By this definition, we can categorize also SDGs based on their main circle of areas. This helps Islamic economic sector and researchers to focus on those SDGs in their own fields. In our paper, we concluded that SDG 1, 3, 8, 9, 10, and 12 can be named under economic circle. As we said that the three-step assessment of sustainable development shall be around these three concepts. A set of questions are added under these three major concepts can help to see the issues in a finer way, and a grading scale can be also created. In our paper, we gave an example of SDG 9, and we assessed it according from the Islamic economics perspective with these three steps and concepts, and we offered Islamic economics, or whatever Islamic economic is offering for SDG 9 is explained in our paper with some examples. As a conclusion, we showed the origins of sustainable development by tracking its Western world motifs and pointed out the reasons of Islamic worlds adopting late to this concept. Principles of Islamic economic and the principle of sustainable development well suit in their objectives and motives, but the path to achieve SDGs needs an assessment from Islamic economics perspective as well. Based on the supportive concepts between SDG and Islamic economics, a three-step assessment process is suggested. We redefine sustainable development from Islamic economic perspective. This is useful for re-understanding the concept of sustainable development from the Islamic perspective, and we recategorize SDGs from Islamic economics perspective. This is also useful for Islamic economics focus on the economic dimension of SDGs. There is a huge area for Islamic economics for reflecting and highlighting its harmonization with sustainable development, especially through working on SDGs. Some recommendations very quickly. Islamic state governments, Muslim communities, Muslim business, and in particular Islamic financial sector shall discover their potential to contribute to the achievement of SDGs. Islamic financial institutions and Muslim businesses shall track their practical measures to introduce their improvements on SDGs. Muslim scholars and Islamic State representatives shall open the harmful practices of classical economical systems into discussions within the SDG content and closer link Islamic economics with sustainable development by introducing Islamic economic practices that have positive impact on SDGs. And national policies and activities derived from Islamic economics will support the achievement of SDGs and will increase the share of Islamic economics globally. It will promote it, and it will provide wider supportive legal and regulatory framework for Islamic economics. I thank you all for listening to me and for your valuable time. Please email me, and if you have any questions or issues related to my research, my email is in the last slide. Thank you very much. Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullah ve Berekatuhu. Nasıl olacağız?
Everyone, I am Hairudin from University Bandar Lampung, and this moment I will present our paper by the title is Good Governance and Public Trust in Indonesia. Public trust in government is very important for number one, will partnership with the people by January 2012. Number two is ensure public compliance with government policy by 1/6/2000 14, 14, 15, okay. Ulang lagi Om. Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Hairudin from Universitas of Bandar Lampung. On this moment, I will present. Nah, lagi. Yeah. Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Hairudin from Universitas Bandar Lampung, and this moment I will present our paper. By the title is Good Governance and Public Trust in Indonesia. Public trust in government is very important for number one, build partnership with the people. Number two is ensure public compliance with government policy. Number three is legitimate and sustain the political system. And number four, lowering social, economic, and political costs. Public trust as a result of public management capacity and active community involvement in governance by Kim 2010. And public trust grows and develops because it is supported by good organizational quality by Sahuri 2009. I'm sorry. The result of phenomenon in Indonesian is public trust in government is very high and place Indonesia in the best position among other OECD member. And Indonesian Good Governance Index is low from World Bank 2019 berapa tuh? World Bank 2000 and berapa? No, 19. Oh, okay.
Ulang lagi Pak.
Okay. The result of phenomenon. Yeah, no.
Phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenon.
The result of phenomenon in Indonesian about trust and good governance is public trust in Indonesian is very high by the OECD 2019. So the Indonesian governance index is low from or by World Bank 2019. Based on the research phenomenon, the research question is the research does good governance affect public trust? This question is very important because factually in Indonesian, public trust and good governance is not relation. And the hypothesis that is built is the research good governance has a positive effect on public trust. This hypothesis based on research by Asif and Hussein 2019, Yusuf Iksan Erhali 2015, and Hasim Handayani and Widya Stuti. The research of methodology, this research was conducted on 34. This research was conducted on 34 provincial government in Indonesia, where the data for this study or this research were sourced from both audit agency and Central Bureau Statistic and Ombudsman of the Republic Indonesia. And then measure of variable good governance measure is governance index with or by principal component analysis method, and public trust measure is assessment of the level compliant with public service standard, and the analysis method using this research is panel data regression. The result and conclusion from this research, our research so number one, during the observation period, the quality of the implementation of good governance has decreasing. And number two, good governance has a positive and significant effect on public trust. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.